I finished reading Warcross by Marie Lu, and I am so ready to talk about it. I had so much fun reading this. I enjoyed reading this so much. I buddy read this with May from the channel May Bonk, and it's technically like my first buddy read, or at least my first booktube buddy read. And we had fun reading this. This was like both our first times buddy reading. We had a great discussion. We plan on reading the sequel Wildcard in another buddy read, so I'm looking forward to that because I'm looking forward to this book, but I'm also looking forward to like talking more about this story and these characters with May, because May is a lot of fun. Definitely check her out. She's cool. And about this book, I knew going into it, people kind of compared it a little bit to Ready Player One, because they're both stories about being in this virtual world with like games and stuff like that. And you have like, I don't know, you have to wear goggles. So I was just like, oh, this is cool. And it's more diverse, and it's from a different perspective. It's not from a white male perspective, but it is from a Asian woman's perspective, well, a young Asian girl's perspective. It had diverse characters represented. I would say it did remind me of Ready Player One, but it also had elements of 50 Shades of Grey, or at least like billionaire love interest and the regular girl, and she meets this billionaire and then she gets taken away to a whole new richer world. It also reminded me of the Hunger Games because there was just like a little Hunger Game element going on in there. So I like the mixture of like Ready Player One meets 50 Shades of Grey romance with Hunger Games action. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. That is a good way of putting it. Like a Ready Player One world building with a billionaire romance and Hunger Games action. It's all those three things put together to like really start the story and get you into it. I enjoyed the characters. I loved Amika. I enjoyed Hideo or Hideo, I'm not sure. I enjoyed Amika as the protagonist. I thought she was very cool. I loved her look. She had like the rainbow hair. I just love how so much of her backstory was woven into the story. Granted, at times in the beginning of the story, her backstory tried to be woven in there and it just got a little what's that word? It got a little cloudy at times. It was just like, so it kind of felt clumsy. It felt like, ooh, we're trying to force this in here by saying, or the emotion she's feeling about this other thing, it kind of relates to the emotions that she felt, you know, because of her past. And it was just like, it's not working for me. Like the really good times when her backstory was woven into the story was the chapters kind of devoted to that. I loved her agency. I loved her take charge. And she had to do stuff. Like she's been through stuff in her life. And the events of how she ends up meeting Hideo and ending up on the plane, which that plane, I'm not sure if in real life that plane is possible, because it's like, I think from how I read the description, she could see into the plane, and then when she's in the plane, she could see out of the plane. So I'm just like, what kind of material is this? That it's supposed to be like a translucent-esque plane, so it's kind of like you can see inside, but it's not really clear. I don't know if it's like, it's supposed to be screens on the outside that have cameras that look onto the inside, so it seems like you're seeing the inside. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be like, or it's just supposed to be like the material that they use to make this plane is translucent, but I was just a little, that's not clear to me. How this plane can fly, how this jet can fly, and it can fly really fast, but it's also like clear that you could see into it and see outside of it, and it apparently, I'm assuming it's like a Wonder Woman jet, so it can disappear and seem invisible in the sky. I don't know what's going on. I'm just like, I want to know, how does this plane work? Is it possible? Like, is science backing this? I'm not saying it's not possible, but I'm like, is it? Is it possible? I thought Hideo was pretty cool. He was very, you know, your typical billionaire romance type. So he's just like, he's so aloof and he's so guarded. He has so much of his past that it's just so hard to deal with. And so he's just stone cold and rock hard until he meets her, and he's still cold to her, but you know, he still shows every now and then, I'm into you and I like you and I want to be with you. And she's just like, and I love that she's just falling for him and she's kind of swooning for him, but she's not letting her emotions get too invested in Hideo or Hideo. Still not sure how to pronounce that. There's also his business partner, his like right hand man Ken, who I legit was like reading. I was like, Is Ken Zero? I'm not sure. So I'm just like, I'm almost wondering, I'm like, is Ken involved with Zero or is Ken Zero? I'm not sure. Still not sure. I'm wondering if that's gonna be answered in Wildcard, but I'm just like, I don't know about Ken. Ken might be legit, but then Ken might not be. So we'll see, you know. The other supporting characters of the story, Amika's teammates, her captain, Asher, her other teammate, Hammy, her other teammate, Roshan, who I think, honestly, Roshan is my favorite. I don't know, maybe because we share an identity, because we're like people of color. We're a part of the alphabet gang. But I also like Roshan because Roshan is like very, very smart. He's just chill and he's cool. And I'm like, I like him. I like him. And I actually want more of his story. There's also DJ Ren. He's alright. Honestly, reading the story, he's kind of set up to be this antagonist, which he kind of is. But then plot twist, so Manano. And then also same thing with Tremaine, who is Rashawn's ex, I guess. We didn't really get super clarity on that. There might be more than an ex friendship that went on, but it's like ex deeper than friendship that went on over there. I wouldn't mind getting a novel on Rashawn and Tremaine's relationship. I feel like Tremaine does not deserve Rashawn. I just feel like he just doesn't. I just already know he doesn't. Tremaine is probably like most likely a fuckboy. I feel like he is. And Rashawn doesn't deserve that. Rashawn deserves better than that. So I still want the story though, but I want a story where Rashawn also finds love with somebody else that's not Tremaine. Somebody else is just gonna be better for him, period. Zero, he wasn't super menacing to me. He was menacing for what he was doing, but I don't know, I was just still caught up in who is Zero. I don't think I was clear on the stakes of what he was doing. I think what would have made Zero more menacing was to really understand his plan. The more it unveiled throughout the story and not just at the end. Closer to the end, his plan really gets revealed. And then you're kind of like, oh, okay. And it was kind of like nefarious enough for me to feel like, I really don't want that to happen. But it didn't give me like super, super chills. Like, oh my gosh, I really don't want that to happen. When we found out what was really, really at stake, you really had to make me feel it. I felt the stakes, but I didn't feel it as strongly as I'd have liked to. But that plot twist, though, I was just like, okay. Because it's like, there were clues coming up to that. Like, Hideo kind of dropped some clues. That was like, okay, that might be who Zero really is. But I was still stuck on who I kind of thought Zero was from the start of the story. So I was just kind of like, maybe it's still that person. But Zero and that plot twist, Zero kind of dropping this bomb that was like a plot twist, I was just like, okay. I'm looking forward to Wildcard. I want to see what you gonna be given. I got questions. Y'all brought up a lot of information that now is kind of like flipped and stuff, and now I'm just like, where are questions? Because I'm speculating hard. The world building, I enjoyed it so much. It's like a mix of our world now and kind of like a cyberpunk-esque world, but it's because it feels just like our regular world. They still have like magazines, and if I'm correct, there are still like people that drive cars. I don't know, but then there are like some enhancements, like there's the Neuralink, and there's like holograms and holographs, and there's virtual reality and all this stuff. It's a mixture of that, and it was cool. It was just like cool and exciting and colorful. I love that it's such an action-packed story. It was just super, super action-packed. Like, I'm telling you, Hunger Games action down the line, just so much action going on. And I love the mystery. I'm not somebody who usually reads mystery, but I do like a good mystery. I love how it was just so espionage, all spy kind of thing, set in this kind of cyberpunk-esque world that's kind of like similar to our current world. Oddly enough, I kind of love going into the dark world. Not a lot, but I love kind of hearing about the assassin pool thing, because interestingly enough, I would actually enjoy like a dark world assassins novel. Although like dark web, dark world stuff and assassins are not necessarily like my thing, the concept of just like reading that, and I was like, ooh, what would a story like be like with like this assassin list and people who are like willing to go out and do these assassinations and get money for it? How much are they willing to assassinate somebody for? And who are they assassinating? And why are they assassinating these people? And like, what? Like, that would be a cool, I don't know. It feels like it would be a cool story. So I just loved the elements of like the dark world. Like, just kind of milling around the dark world a little bit would have been interesting. I did feel like in the dark world, when it came to like sex workers, Amika was very much like, I don't know, it felt like she turned her nose up, because it's 2 times mentioned that she like points out like, oh, the red light district, and she was like, I scurried away from there so fast. And it's just this underlying idea of like turning her nose up at sex workers. And it's just kind of like, I get it, it's not your thing, but at the same time it's just like, you don't need to do all that, girl. Like, you just, if you're not interested, nobody's telling you have to. Some sex workers actually do this because they enjoy their jobs, and it's a great way for them to make money. So unless you're worried that they about to snatch you, there's no real need for her to kind of been like, well, you know, they're selling cocaine and they're selling heroin, and over there they're selling their bodies. I've got to run now. And it's just like, girl, you didn't run when the cocaine was around you, so what's up? Why are we so pressed? Okay, I understand. I did enjoy the romance, although May was kind of like, she thought it was a little rushed. And I didn't feel like it was super rushed. I think comparing it to other romances that I read, this felt less rushed. It felt pretty natural. It still felt like, you know, there was just like a physical, chemical, whatever, chemistry, attraction going on. I did feel like they could have slow burned a little bit more, especially when Hideo took Amika out to dinner and they almost kissed, and I was just like, y'all didn't have to almost kiss. Y'all could have just been like spending time with each other. Oh, I'm catching feelings for him. Like, give us a little bit more of that. Build the feelings for him. Make it a little touchy, because it's still like y'all still new to each other. Y'all just met each other. It started off as business and it's kind of still being business. So let it just be business, but the little flirtations are kind of sneaking in underneath. Like, that's what should have been happening. So I understand with May why she felt it was just so rushed. Like, it was still feeling like a little too fast. The chemistry wasn't fully there and was kind of like forcing them together. And I will have to agree with that. I did enjoy the romance, but I did feel like, yeah. Maybe me needing more tension in their romance, there more build-up in their romance, was more for the overall plot to kind of show that they really shouldn't be together. This really shouldn't be happening. Maybe he's being manipulative because he's a smart man. So maybe he's being manipulative and trying to manipulate her into doing his bit. I don't know. I also loved that there were like 3 bits of advice, I guess you can say, that were embedded in the story. One of them was, look at the whole, not just the details, to find the problem. That was advice that Amika's father gave to her since he was a fashion designer, which was another thing I loved about the story. I loved that they had like little touches of like designer brand name stuff in there, like Alexander McQueen for the Neuralink glasses. She was getting like fabulous designer stuff from, I think, what was it, Chanel, Gucci? I don't remember exactly who it was, but she got some designer clothes. I was like, come on, taste, come on, money, come on, we're doing big things out here in the future. It's like fashion forward and fabulous. Like, I was standing. But another bit of advice that was embedded in the story was, repeat something enough and it will stick, whether it's a habit or something you say. And the last bit of advice that was embedded in the story, when Hammy was asking Emmy about like whatever she was hiding, where Hammy says to Emmy, you remind me of myself from years ago. I always offered help, but I refused to accept any. My mother scolded me about that. Do you know what she told me? When you refuse to ask for help, it tells others that they also shouldn't ask for help from you. That you look down on them for needing your help. That you like feeling superior to them. It's an insult, Emmy, to your friends and peers. So don't be like that. Let us in. And that one kind of hit me, because then it's just like, I felt like, yo, sometimes you're like, I don't want to ask for help. There's probably like this subconscious idea that like it makes you weaker. And for me, sometimes it's just this subconscious idea that maybe in that cooperation with somebody else, I might be too weak and bring them down, and I might see myself as less than. I don't know, that's just kind of like, it really hit me with that one. I love when stories do that, where it's like they embed a little piece of wisdom and advice. Here's a few speculations and expectations expectations of what is gonna happen in Wildcard. I am expecting that we're gonna know more about Hideo's family and really what happened to his brother. Like, I want to know what really happened to his brother. Like, let me know. And I also think that Emi is going to fall in love with like somebody else and somebody who's related to Hideo. Like, I don't know, I feel like she's gonna have a little romance with somebody else. And that person's most likely gonna be related to Hideo. Or because I don't think it's gonna be any of her teammates unless she and DJ Ren end up hooking up. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm wondering if DJ Ren is gonna have any like, if he's gonna want to take revenge also, and they end up hooking up. I don't know. Maybe we will see. And I'm very sure that Zero and Hideo are going to like have a head-to-head clash. I don't know if Amika is actually going to be involved in that or if she's going to be like standing back and letting them like face off face to face. I don't know. I'm just looking forward to Wildcard. I enjoyed Warcross a lot. I'm almost kind of upset that I didn't read this sooner, but I'm just like, I'm glad I read it this time. It was a good time to read it. It was something that I needed. I enjoyed it. I had fun reading it. And if you read Warcross, like, let me know, like, and even if you read Wildcard, don't spoil it for me, but just let me know, you know, a little something, like, how did you feel about it? How did you feel reading it? What were some things, like, tell me, how did you feel about Hideo? How did you feel about Amika? How did you feel about the whole story as a whole? How did you feel about Zero? How did you feel about that plot twist? Let me know in the comments. Comment or timestamp any moment in this video that you resonated with, that you just want to talk back in the comments. Comment it, timestamp it. I'm here for it. So thank you for sharing your time with me. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I am out this bitch like Fleek. The fuck.